Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to dive into something you probably remember from science class, but I promise you there's this incredible, epic story hiding in plain sight that you've likely never heard before. We are talking about photosynthesis. But before we get into all that, I want to ask you a question. Just think about it for a second. Of all the countless chemical reactions happening on our planet, what do you think is the single most important one of all? You got it. It's photosynthesis. And it is so much more than just plants making a little bit of food. This is the reaction that literally built the world as we know it. So to really understand what that means, we have to start with its unbelievable scale. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to start with the sheer scale of it all. This isn't just a biological process. It is the engine that powers pretty much all life on this planet. Think about it like this. The energy in every single bite of food you eat, doesn't matter if it's a salad or a steak, that energy was originally captured from the sun by photosynthesis. And the very oxygen that's filling your lungs right now, yeah, that was released by a plant, maybe on the other side of the world. It's not just a part of our environment, it's the absolute foundation of our entire biosphere. Now here's where it gets really wild. Our world wasn't always like this, not even close. Photosynthesis didn't just arrive on a planet that was ready for life. It fundamentally terraformed a hostile rock into the living, breathing world we all depend on. I mean, just look at this timeline. We're talking billions of years ago. For hundreds of millions of years, the first types of photosynthesis didn't even make oxygen. The real game changer happened about 2.7 billion years ago, when these organisms called cyanobacteria figured out how to use water, releasing oxygen as a waste product. This kicked off the Great Oxidation Event, which was actually a catastrophe for most life at the time, but it's what paved the way for oxygen-breathing creatures, like us. All right, so we've seen the massive planetary scale. Now, how does this ancient world-changing process actually work? Let's zoom way in from the global view right down to the microscopic level and take a peek inside what I like to call the cell's little solar factory. So, inside pretty much every plant and algae cell, you'll find these tiny green engines, these powerhouses called chloroplasts. This is it. This is the factory floor where sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide are transformed into energy and, well, life itself. The whole production line is basically split into two main stages. First up, you've got the light-dependent reactions. Think of these like solar panels. They capture sunlight to split water molecules apart and create these tiny, supercharged energy packets. Then, in stage 2, we've got something called the Calvin cycle. This is where all that captured energy gets put to work. It grabs carbon dioxide right out of the air and uses that energy to build glucose. Yep, sugar, the fuel for life. Now, here's a cool bit of science history. For the longest time, scientists had a huge part of this story completely wrong. Everyone just assumed the oxygen plants release came from the carbon dioxide they take in. I mean, it makes sense, right? Well, a massive breakthrough revealed that's not it at all. The oxygen actually comes from the water molecules that get ripped apart in that very first step. A brilliant aha moment for science. At the very heart of that second stage, the Calvin cycle, we meet our main character, a crucial enzyme called rubisco. Its entire job is to grab carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and fix it into an organic molecule, kicking off the whole sugar-building process. It is, without a doubt, one of the most abundant and important enzymes on Earth. But, and this is a huge but, our hero, rubisco, has a major flaw, a really big one. In fact, it's a flaw that scientists today see as one of nature's biggest mistakes, and maybe, just maybe, our biggest opportunity. So, despite being so essential, rubisco is, well, it's kind of bad at its job. It's shockingly slow and inefficient. But worse than that, it's not very picky. It gets confused, and it often makes a very costly mistake. So instead of grabbing its target, carbon dioxide, rubisco sometimes accidentally grabs an oxygen molecule. And when that happens, it triggers this totally wasteful process called photorespiration. The plant then has to spend a ton of precious energy just to clean up the mess, basically undoing a huge chunk of all its hard work. And this one flaw presents all of us with a truly monumental choice. On one hand, the potential rewards of fixing rubisco are staggering. We could dramatically increase crop yields to seed a growing world, and we could engineer plants that pull much more CO2 from the atmosphere. But on the other hand, the risks are profound. We would be tinkering with the engine of all life on Earth. That brings up huge ethical questions and the very real danger of unintended consequences we can't even predict. So this all brings us to right now, to our future, because that tiny microscopic flaw in an ancient enzyme is now at the very center of some of the biggest challenges humanity has ever faced. And this is where the story really becomes about us. When you look at the greatest challenges we face, feeding billions more people, stabilizing our climate, creating clean energy sources, the solution to all of them might just lie in figuring out how to make photosynthesis work a little bit better. And this isn't science fiction. Right now, in labs all around the world, researchers are using these incredible tools, like synthetic biology and genetic engineering, to try and design a better, faster, and more accurate version of this process, to overcome nature's limitations and build a more efficient engine for life. Which leaves us with a final, profound question. Photosynthesis created our world and has sustained it for billions of years. As we face the challenges of the 21st century, can we, and maybe more importantly, should we, try to improve on nature's greatest invention to secure our own future?